Welcome to Animal Notebook. Let's jump right into today's explainer. Spoonbill, the strange beaked specialist of the wetlands. If you're a wetland regular, you've probably spotted one of these guys wading through the shallows, and you know exactly why we're so excited to talk about them today.
I mean, just look at that thing. That flat, spatula-shaped bill is literally a masterclass in evolutionary design. It might look a bit goofy, kind of like a prehistoric paddle, but make no mistake, that bizarre anatomy is precisely what makes this bird so incredibly successful. Okay, real quick, here's our agenda for today. We're going to meet the bird, check out how that crazy bill actually works as a fishing tool, look at where they live around the globe, peek into the rookery, and then wrap up with 4 of your top spoonbill FAQs. Let's get to it. Section 1. Meet the spoonbill, a bizarre beauty. So the spoonbill is a large wading bird with some serious presence. We're talking up to 3 feet tall with a wingspan stretching over 4 feet. They boast these long, stilt-like legs and a long neck, absolutely perfect for wading deep into marshes and mudflats. And sitting right at the end of that neck is the main event, that iconic spoon-shaped bill that broadens out right at the tip. They're surprisingly sturdy too, weighing anywhere from 2.5 to over 4 pounds. A really elegant bird once you get used to the face. Now, here's a very cool trick for spotting them in the wild. If you see a massive bird flying high over a wetland, you might just assume it's a heron. But check the neck. Herons fly with their necks curled tight into an S shape, right? Spoonbills, on the other hand, fly with their necks completely outstretched. It gives them this really distinct, straight as an arrow silhouette against the sky. Moving on to Section 2, the perfect fishing tool, form fits function. This is honestly my favorite part. How does that bizarre bill actually work? Well, it all comes down to tactile foraging. Look, most birds rely on really sharp eyesight to hunt. Spoonbills? They literally do not need to. Their bills are packed to the brim with super sensitive nerve endings. They are actively feeling for their prey in murky, muddy water where eyes wouldn't do any good anyway. The step-by-step hunting process is brilliant. First, they wade into the muck. Then they hold that partially open bill down in the water and sweep it side to side, almost like a scythe. And I mean, the absolute millisecond those nerves graze a small fish, a crustacean, or a bug, bam, the bill snaps shut instantly. It is a fully automatic trap triggered entirely by touch. And they don't just do this alone. Spoonbills are highly social and they love a cooperative hunt. You'll often see them wading shoulder to shoulder with other species like ibises or storks. By sweeping through the shallows together as a massive group, they stir up the mud and flush out aquatic insects and frogs. They're basically creating a giant moving buffet for the whole flock. All right, Section 3, spoonbills around the world, a global presence. Now, because this feeding strategy is so incredibly effective, these guys have conquered almost the entire globe. There are 6 living species of the genus Platea, found on literally every single continent except Antarctica. You've got the stunning pink roseate spoonbill here in the Americas. Over in Eurasia and Africa, you have the predominantly white Eurasian and African spoonbills. Down in Australasia, there's the royal spoonbill and the yellow-billed spoonbill, which, has a pale yellow bill. And finally, over in East Asia, we have the black-faced spoonbill, which sadly stands out because it is highly endangered. Even spread across the planet like this, they all share some really fascinating quirks. They all absolutely love shallow wetlands, mangroves, and estuaries. If they live in temperate zones, they're usually highly migratory, flying off to warmer spots for the winter. And here's a fun fact. Because they don't have a complex voice box or syrinx for singing, they talk to each other using low grunts, hisses, and these really loud, rhythmic bill clattering displays. Let's jump to Section 4, life in the rookery, breeding and growth. So, what about family life? Well, spoonbills are highly social colonial nesters. They gather in these massive breeding colonies, often called rookeries, building big, bulky stick nests up in trees, bushes, or reed beds. Parenting is absolutely a team sport here. Mom and dad both share egg incubation duties for about 3 to 4 weeks. And once those 2 to 5 speckled eggs hatch, both parents work around the clock to feed the babies. But check this out, this is wild. See the chick next to the adult here? It doesn't have a spoonbill. These chicks are actually born with short, perfectly straight bills, which is why people sometimes affectionately call them chalkbills. It's only as they grow and mature over those first few weeks that the bill starts to flatten out and morph into that famous spatula shape. Pretty crazy, right?
Section 5. 4 Spoonbill FAQs. Viewer questions answered. All right, Animal Notebook viewers, let's wrap this explainer up with our highly requested FAQ segment. Let's kick it off with question number 1, easily the most common curiosity. If most spoonbills around the world are white, why on earth is the roseate spoonbill so vividly pink? You might have guessed it. It's their food. As they scythe through the wetlands, they gobble up tons of crustaceans like shrimp. Those crustaceans are absolutely loaded with carotenoid pigments. So as the bird digests its meals, those pigments naturally dye their feathers that brilliant pink. Yes, it is the exact same biological process that makes flamingos pink.
All right, question 2. This one tackles a super common myth about their sleeping habits and awareness. Do spoonbills sleep with their eyes open?
The short answer is no, they sleep totally normally. But the myth probably started because of their wild hunting habits. Because their tactile foraging is so incredibly tuned in, they actually hunt with their eyes partially or even completely closed. They literally don't need to see a thing. They just let the touch sensors in their bill do 100% of the work.
Moving right along to question 3. With the pink feathers, the long legs, the neck, and the whole wetland lifestyle, are roseate spoonbills basically just weird flamingos?
I mean, visually, I get it, but scientifically, no way. They actually belong to a totally different taxonomic family called Threskiornithidae. This means their closest living relatives are actually ibises, not flamingos. The fact that they look and act so similar is just a textbook example of convergent evolution. And that brings us to our final and definitely most serious question. Why is the black-faced spoonbill struggling so much to survive in the wild? Sadly, it really comes down to habitat loss. Wetland drainage, pollution, and coastal development are absolutely devastating their homes. You see, ecologists consider spoonbills to be an indicator species. Their survival is directly tied to the overall health of the wetlands. If the water gets toxic or disappears, the spoonbills disappear too. So it really leaves us with a tough question. If we keep paving over and polluting these vital ecosystems, will we end up losing the bizarre, brilliant magic of the spoonbill entirely? It's something we all need to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on Animal Notebook, and as always, keep staying curious about the natural world.